Welcome to Time of Death. This video is for informational purposes and in no way meant to glorify or condone violence. In today's video, we'll be discussing the murder of Luciano Rubio Valdez. Valdez was shot and killed on Friday, November 14, 2014, in the 4300 block of Telegraph Road in East LA, according to LA County Coroner records. Eric Aaron Astorga was subsequently arrested and charged with the murder. The following is the evidence at trial. In the early morning hours of November 14, 2014, deputies from the LA County Sheriff's Department responded to a warehouse complex in the city of LA. After walking through a gated fence and into the warehouse yard, the deputies discovered the body of victim Luciano Rubio lying face down in a pool of blood near an open doorway to the warehouse. The victim had been pistol whipped and shot 3 times with a .357 Magnum revolver, twice in the right shoulder and once in the back of the head. He was pronounced dead at 6 a.m. Inside the warehouse, investigating officers located a living space with couches, a table, and a large television. Criminalists collected fingerprints from a cup and a Gatorade bottle inside the warehouse. The fingerprints matched those of Michael Perdomo, a gang member who went by the name Little P. According to the victim's best friend, Jose Perez, on November 12, 2014, 2 days before the murder, the victim was with Perez and Perdomo inside the warehouse. While hanging out, Perdomo accused the victim of assaulting Perdomo's former girlfriend and the mother of his child. The investigating officers and a criminalist also searched an adjacent junkyard that was located on the opposing end of a retaining wall. Shoe print impressions were collected from the bed and hood of a pickup truck that had been parked up against the wall. Also located on the pickup truck were palm and fingerprints, which had been placed on the bed, passenger side hood, and top of the truck. Subsequent comparison of the fingerprints and of the shoe pattern and size matched those of the defendant. On January 12, 2015, Bolen Park police officer Mike Hemingway pulled behind a suspected stolen vehicle. After following the car into a parking lot, Officer Hemingway watched Alejandro Cotto Martinez get out of the vehicle and flee. As he chased Cotto Martinez on foot, Officer Hemingway called for support. Officer Martin Herrera located the stolen vehicle and quickly realized it had been abandoned. After searching the area for several minutes, Officer Herrera stopped the defendant, who was short of breath and sweating profusely. A loaded .357 revolver was recovered approximately 12 feet away from where Officer Hemingway detained Cotto Martinez. Testing of the firearm against 3 bullets collected from the victim's autopsy confirmed that the same firearm had been used to kill the victim. Additional forensic testing revealed defendant's DNA on the gun trigger and trigger guard. To conduct a so-called Perkins operation in July of 2015, defendant was placed in a jail cell with an inmate who portrayed himself as a member of the Huntington Park locals, who had spent several years in prison. During his conversation with the inmate, defendant described the shooting. The conversation was recorded, and a recording was played for the jury, with a transcript for assistance. Defendant introduced himself as Twisted from Eastside Bolen, and indicated he was a big dude in the gang who had come up from the Rascals, a clique or subset of the gang. The inmate told defendant he had just met his homeboy from Eastside Bolen. Defendant stated, "Everybody knows me like, oh, that's Twisted from Eastside Bolen." In the last couple of months, everybody knew to watch out for defendant because he was known for running up on people with a .357 revolver and a .44 Magnum. Prior to his arrest, defendant was on it with a .357 revolver. Defendant then described the shooting of the victim. It's unclear from the record, but at some point in time, defendant heard a rumor that a homie's baby mama had been assaulted. One day, a guy named Suso, a homie who bangs with defendant's clique, introduced defendant to his uncle, an older gang member named Little P. Little P was not from defendant's neighborhood, but was a self-proclaimed member of a gang in Duarte. Little P told defendant that the woman named in the rumor was his former girlfriend. Little P told defendant, "We're gonna see what you're about." Defendant rolled around in a car with Little P and Suso for 2 to 3 hours before traveling to a warehouse to find the man who had assaulted Little P's former girlfriend. When they arrived, Suso kept watch outside while defendant and Little P went into the warehouse. Defendant found the victim laying on a couch inside the warehouse. Defendant approached the victim and pistol whipped him several times before he let off 3 times with his gun, dropping the victim, quote, like a sack of potatoes. After the shooting, defendant got into the car, emptied the revolver into his pocket, and reloaded the gun in case the fools on West start getting fucking stupid. When he got back to the hood, defendant treated everyone differently, like each person was suspect. When asked why, defendant admitted that everybody kinda knew what I did or some shit. Defendant never saw Little P again. He thought maybe Little P had pretended like he was connected to persuade defendant to kill the victim. The prosecutor called Rialto Police Department officer Adam Acuna to testify as an expert on gang activity in Baldwin Park. Prior to his current assignment, Officer Acuna was an officer with the Baldwin Park Police Department for approximately 11 years. During that time, Officer Acuna had been assigned to the Gang Activity Prevention Unit. Officer Acuna explained that Eastside Bolen originated in Baldwin Park around the late 1950s. The gang has 5 different subsets or cliques: the Midget Charros, the Locos, the Dukes, and the Rascals. During a prior consensual encounter with Officer Acuna, defendant admitted he was a member of Eastside Bolen. After reviewing a set of photographs taken of defendant, Officer Acuna testified that defendant has a Bolen tattooed over his right eyebrow, an ES tattooed on the side of his head, and an R indicating the Rascals tattooed on his chin. Following the trial, in August of 2019, the jury convicted defendant of first-degree murder, including gun and gang allegations. The court sentenced defendant to a term of 25 years to life for the murder, plus a consecutive term of 25 years to life for the firearm enhancement. Luciano Rubio Valdez was 27 years old at the time of death.